Hey everyone, Tom Stahler here at OnMotorsports. Welcome, and we got a special show for you. A few weeks ago, I got a call from a good friend of mine up in Washington State, Klaus Kinder, who told me about a young man who was running in the British Formula Ford Series. Now, there's a lot of people running in the Formula Ford Series in Britain, but this young man is very special. His name is Gabe Tesch. He's got an incredible story to tell, and he's an American. So we're going to take a quick lap around Brands Hatch with him, and then we're going to have a conversation, and he's going to tell us all about himself. Anyway, click subscribe, and welcome to On Motorsports. Hey, it's Tom Stahler at On Motorsports, and I'm joined by a young man who has got quite the story. Our good friend Gabe Tesch. How are you today, Gabe?
I am living the dream. How are you doing?
Most certainly you are. You are racing, you're an American racing in the British Formula Ford Series overseas there, living in London. You are living the dream. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to go forward and live vicariously through you. How's that?
There you go.
First and foremost, you're about, what, halfway through the Ford Formula. What do they call it now? They don't call it Formula Ford anymore because there's Honda engines too, correct?
Yeah, well, they over here they actually still call it Formula Ford, but in the States it's called F1600.
Yeah.
And so but yeah, actually over here in England it's still called Formula Ford, which
You
is fun.
gotta love those traditionalist Brits, you know? Are there
Yeah, exactly.
are,
Tons of different engine types. Also tons of different chassis and stuff like for instance, I run a Van Diemen,
okay.
which is actually the same chassis that Ayrton Senna used to run when he raced Formula Ford.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. And so yeah, there's actually tons of different chassis, engine builders, and everything. So.
But now you're getting an education yourself over there, putting the rubber to the road, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is my college, pretty much. It's
Mm-hmm.
might be more. I think it's actually more expensive than college. Who knows?
I think you're probably right. You did not have the world's easiest childhood either. So that's one of the things that I think is outstanding about you, Gabe, is well, maybe you can just tell me about a little bit about your own personal history as a kid and what got you interested in racing.
Actually, when I was 11 years old, I found out I was diagnosed with brain cancer, and being 11 and being so young, that was quite a shock. Like,
Mm.
and it was just terrifying because it was such a big word at such a young age, and I didn't really know what to think of it. So I went through that. I had to get a brain surgery to get the tumor out, and then I did 2 months of radiation, and then I
Hmm.
did a whole year of chemotherapy. And so it was quite a long battle. It was a really tough battle, but once I finished it, you get a Make-A-Wish trip, childhood cancer survivor. And so my wish was to go to the Formula One Texas Grand Prix,
Hmm.
and I got there, and I got to meet all the drivers. I got to go in the garage. I got to meet, Nico Rosberg, Dan Ricciardo, and it was just an amazing experience at such a young age. And like just watching these drivers, looking up to them, they were like heroes for me. And that's when I decided, you know what, I want to become a Formula One driver. I want to make it pro. And so at that moment, that's when I fell in love with racing. I've always loved racing. My dad races vintage cars, so I've always grown up around it. But that was the moment when I really realized I wanted to be a race car driver.
And you probably figured that out about the age of 13. You weren't
Quite
super
old.
young for Formula One prospect, though. You were
Yeah.
over the hill for most of. I mean, you think about the kids that start today. I mean, you know the Lewis Hamiltons. They start Michael Schumacher. They started driving carts before they could hardly walk. You know, so
Yeah.
you actually came into the game a little late, but it worked out in your favor, right? You won some championships.
Yeah, exactly. That was a challenge for me because, like you said, other drivers have started so young, and I started at 14, and
14.
so I started really late, and I had to play catch up because all these drivers I was racing against had so many years of experience already. They're already moving up to cars, and so that was really challenging because like I had to catch up just because of my age, and I was able to catch up, but it wasn't easy at all. So
Well, you know that's the thing. It sounds to me like you've lived a life of adversity and challenge, and you keep a smile on your face. You're a very positive person. Now, I heard you were in Washington State at a vintage race, and they put you in a vintage Formula Ford in the rain, a car and a track you didn't know, and you spanked the field. Is that true?
yeah, I actually got I came home just to visit my family and stuff, and there was a vintage race going on, and this guy that is close friends with my dad, he owns a '69 Winkleman,
Mm,
and he invited me to drive it. He's like, "Hey, do you want to drive it?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to drive it. I'll drive anything."
that's
And
right.
so yeah, so it was an awesome opportunity. It was a blast, and yeah, in the qualifying it was pouring down rain, and I put it on pole, and and then the race had dried up. Well, actually, let me go back. It was super funny. I was actually not on rain tires at all when I put it on pole,
Oh
and
my.
everyone came up to me and they're like, "You have to be on rain tires." I was like, "No, I'm on slicks." And so everyone put on rain tires after that to try to catch up to me. It was really funny, but
Nice.
yeah. And so it was a fun weekend. It was quite a shocker how different the car was. I didn't think an old Formula Ford would be too much different to a new Formula Ford, but it was actually quite a big difference. So it took some time to get used to, but like I said, it was an awesome opportunity, and I had a blast.
That's awesome. There's 50 years between the two cars that you drove.
Yeah.
What would you I mean when it comes down to I mean the basics like handling, turn in, braking, things of that nature. How's the car how are the cars of today different from the cars from back then?
One thing I noticed is with shifting, you have to be a lot more precise.
Mhm.
Um, like in shifting a modern car, it's quite easier. In an old car, you have to be way more precise.
Driving cars like that, does it give you a certain level of respect as it did for me, the guys who drove those cars back in the day? Clearly
Definitely,
more
yeah.
difficult cars to drive.
Yeah, like I have so much respect for the drivers back in the day because I mean it wasn't easy at all driving those cars. I mean like I watched the video of Ayrton Senna driving Monaco one handed. It's like how the heck do you do that? That was just amazing. And so I have so much respect for drivers that did it back in the day, especially after driving that car, an old vintage car. It's just really cool. It's an amazing experience, and it really gives, just like you said, makes me respect old drivers even more.
When Senna drove Monaco in that very famous video, he claimed he had an out of body experience. Like he was watching himself drive the car. When you're in the car, your level of focus, what does it feel like? What's going through your mind?
Racing, people don't understand how big of a mental game it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
because in other sports, a quarterback he gets the ball throws the ball, and it's a 5-second play, so he's completely focused for those only 5 seconds. But as a racing driver, you have to be completely focused for an hour or maybe 2 hours. Or if you go to Le Mans, you got to be completely focused for 3 hours. And so, as a racing driver, your mindset has to be just focused on your job, which is making perfect laps, which is braking perfectly, getting on throttle at the perfect moment, hitting your apex, and when you're really in that perfect mindset of completely focusing on what you need to do, like I said, apex, perfect throttle, hitting your mark, start doing it without even thinking about it, and that's how you know when you're having a good day, because if you don't have to think about it, then like I said, you're having a good day. Almost like how you said Senna, he didn't even, like, he wasn't even in the car anymore, and I've had those moments where I was just nailing the perfect lap, and like you can't even mess up if you try. Racing is a big mental game, and it's about just staying completely focused the whole session.
You mentioned your aspirations are Formula One. You've now been in racing for a little bit. You've gained some experience. You've had plenty of time to be jaded. Where are your aspirations right at this minute?
Honestly, don't know. That's the hard thing about racing is you don't know exactly where you'll end up because it's about being the whole package. It's about bringing the sponsorship. It's about being good in front of a camera and doing interviews. But the big thing is about the money, because to make your way to the top, you have to be able to bring the money. And F1's the goal. I believe F1's probably the goal for every driver, because it's the pinnacle of motorsports. I just want to be a race car driver. If that means getting a seat in a GT car, if that means getting a seat in any car, I would be the happiest guy in the world.
What is your fitness schedule like?
Literally I work out every day. Actually, back in the States, I had my own private trainer that worked on the things I need to work on as a racing driver, which is like core strength, balance, arm strength, neck strength, because you're carrying so many G's. But yeah, just working out every day. I run a lot. I bike a lot. Some people don't understand how important it is to stay fit as a race car driver, but it's one of the most important things.
What scares you the most? Because, I mean, you've overcome adversity, but really, what scares you the most?
Just failing myself, I guess. I have like certain morals and values, and to let that down and not be the person I want to be in career wise and as a man wise, I think that's probably my biggest fear, if that makes any sense.
That totally makes sense. That's an admirable fear. We all fear failure. I mean, that's in a lot of cases that's what keeps people from taking risks. It's not the fear of getting killed in a race car. It's the fear of failing to do well, to start at the back of the grid and finish in the back of the grid. You know, a la Marco Andretti, but that's a story for another time. You've got a film crew following you around on the circuit this year, and I believe some of last year, correct?
Yeah, a little bit of last year, and yeah, all this year too. So,
Tell me about that.
I actually am having a docu-series filmed on me just about my whole life and my racing career. It's called, and it's going to be called Do Something Extraordinary. It's just kind of a film that we're doing to show kids and people that have gone through things like cancer and stuff, to show them that you shouldn't let this bring you down, that you can do anything that you put your mind to. It's going to follow my career for the next 4 years. It's just, like I said, it's about me beating cancer and then wanting to do this dream as a race car driver and then just following through my career. That's something I'm really excited for. I can't wait to see where it goes, and I'm hoping a lot of people that need it in their life will see it. And yeah, it's really exciting stuff.
I don't think you necessarily have to be sick to be inspired by that. I mean, we all face adversity every single day of our lives. You know, and that's the whole thing. Whether it be I'm too depressed to get out of bed, to I got into a big fight with my boss today, or you know, it could be a myriad of things, or it could be brain cancer. Hello, you know, I mean, where can I ask you this? Where was the tumor?
right here on the right side of my head. I'm not exactly sure where it was located.
So did they cut like a barn door flap and went in there? And you see,
Yeah, pretty much.
I lost one of my best friends to brain cancer, and his name was Tony Adamowitz. He was older, he was in his mid 70s when he found out, but he passed within a year of finding out. Of course, where his tumor was, it was very close to the base of his skull, so they couldn't get to it. And it was sad. I mean, because he was a great guy, and he was also a champion race driver. He was the under 2 leader 1968 Trans Am champion. He was the 1969 Formula 5000 champion. He had IMSA championships under his belt. I mean, the guy was, and everyone loved him. That was the other thing. He was just an approachable, sweet human being with the innocence of a child. Just really, he was that decent a person. There is adversity in life, and you face it head on, and that's what you can do, or you can just give up. I'm glad you're inspiring people not to give up, and I think that's fantastic. I think your story is definitely one that should be told. Having had your terrifying medical history, you look at a race driver like Charlie Kimball in IndyCar. He was able to get sponsorship from, I believe it was a company that produced insulin or something of the sort. With the amount of money that goes into cancer research every year, do you think that there would be any kind of interest from cancer foundations to put you on the track and to be a spokesperson and everything else? Have you actually looked at an angle like that?
Yeah, we have. I was speaking at events for Wish and Star. I've done things with also another association called ACOIN, which is American Childhood Cancer Association. I've done things with them and events and stuff. Actually working with AutoNation on the Drive Pink. They have a Drive Pink thing, which is to help women with breast cancer. So yeah, going through it, I've always wanted to help out in that way, and that's definitely something I've always looked at.
At this juncture, it's still prospective for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you looked into any of these Formula One development programs, and how difficult or easy is it to get into? And easy, I say in jest.
It's really hard. Actually, when I was karting, Laguna Seca Historics, and Zach Brown was there, and I actually started talking to him, and a couple weeks later, I got an email from Zach Brown saying that McLaren would be happy to give you some money, and he gave us a check. And so that was quite an amazing thing.
Zach's good people, by the way. I like him a lot.
He's really down to earth. He's really easy to approach. He's not like hard to approach or anything. That was an amazing thing. But when you look at how much these programs are, like these junior programs, like to be on the Red Bull program, it's so much money, and so it's all about how much money you have, really, because you can pay to be on the Red Bull program, which is crazy. So it's hard.
Now let's talk about one more thing. Let's talk about the world famous Formula Ford Festival. Okay. You're going to be participating at the Ford Festival at Brands Hatch this year, correct?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about what it has become? How many entries? What does it take to win? I mean, are you excited at the prospect of being in such a famous race?
Yeah, I mean, the Formula Ford Festival is the most famous Formula Ford race. It's been held for so many years, and if you look at the grid for each year, you see some of the greatest drivers in the world. All the IndyCar drivers on the grid have done that race.
Mm-hmm.
That's a race that's probably really important as a young driver to win, because it really shows you that you have skill, because there's 100 guys, and it's 100 of the best guys, all from around the world, and it takes a lot of skill to win that race, plus a lot of luck. So.
Well, they say luck is a combination of having the skill set and being at the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you could be lucky, but you still got to be ready to be lucky. Gabe Tesch, you are an inspiration to many, and I feel very privileged to get a chance to talk to you, and even better, getting a chance to make friends with you, which is really cool. And I just wish you all the luck in the world. I hope it comes together for you, and if it doesn't, something tells me you'll land on your feet.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that means everything. It's been awesome to get to know you. This has been a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, Gabe. Thanks for tuning in to On Motorsports, and we'll see you next time.